up? Welcome to another episode of Burn the Wagon. Today, my guest is Haley Robinson, a dope two-spirit content creator that we're going to have on. So, yeah, I'm going to invite them in, and then we'll get started. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you for the support. Hey, Burn the Wagon. All right, I just sent you an invite over. You should receive that. Here we go. Hey.
Hey, how's it going, man?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great.
Again, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. We already got people in here ready to go for you. So yeah, I'm just gonna get started on our little prayer before we get started, and then we'll get going on the questions. Cool. I want to send love to anybody out there that's suffering from mental health issues. I want to send love to anybody that's suffering from domestic violence issues. I want to send love to any of our ancestors that have passed on to the spirit realm. I want to send love to all of yourselves that's tuning into the live today or tuning in later, listening on any of those Spotify accounts or anything like that. I want to send love to our precious Mother Earth. Right now, I'm on Amamusin territory in Santa Cruz, California. So if you guys want to drop where you guys are at in the comments, that'd be dope. So today, my guest is Haley Robinson, and we're going to have an amazing conversation. I'm super stoked. So yeah, we'll just start off with a little intro about yourself, and then we'll go from there.
Hey, what's going on? Thank you so much for having me on your live podcast. I'm so excited to be here. So I am Haley Robinson. I am a Cree Filipino adoptee. I was originally from Calgary, Alberta, but now I moved out here to Ottawa with my partner. My dad is from Muskeg Lake, he's Cree, and then my mom is from the Philippines. And yeah, I'm just sharing my journey of reconnecting, because when I was adopted, I didn't have a chance to connect with my culture, especially, because my mom was white. They don't really allow any information until you turn 18. So it's been like a pretty long journey for me to reconnect back to my bio family and everything.
So we actually share that in common. I was watching your videos. I'm adopted as well, but I was the opposite. So I was adopted onto the reservation, like by a Native American woman.
Oh,
So
wow.
Yeah, it's a little bit, you don't ever really hear that story where like a kid from the off the res was adopted onto, like it's a little bit opposite, usually it's the kid from the res adopted off.
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw your videos today. I was like, oh, we share that in common, yeah, definitely very interested to be, my biological mom is white too. So I am mixed with, so I do claim Pomo, but like I biologically, I think my father was from Mexico. So like, but
wow.
yeah, but like I do claim to be a Cali native because that's all I know. Like I grew up, first day I was live as a Pomo person. So at what age were you adopted?
I was adopted right from birth.
Okay, yes. Yeah, so same here. So like you don't know anything else other than that adopted family.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so how has that been reconnecting? Like what got you first reconnected? Like whenever you found out about your biological family?
So I have always known about my biological parents, just like where they lived. We had an open adoption, but I didn't necessarily like meet them until I was 18. But at that time, I was also an addict and I was having a hard time with alcoholism and drugs. And so I met them and I didn't really like understand the significance of it, or I didn't really care. Like I literally remember meeting them. It was like really emotional. And then I looked at my adoptive mom. I'm like, okay, like you're gonna drive me back to that party now? And like, so then I decided to get sober. I think it was 3 years after that. One of my friends that was also living with me, she was also part indigenous, part Vietnamese. She actually went missing. And when they found her, obviously the police are like, unsuspicious death, which is whack. And I said to myself, I'm like, I need to take care of myself, not only for like me, but for people that are just like me, because this is crazy how this can happen to an indigenous woman and nobody cares. And so that really helped my journey of wanting to reach out. I started talking to my adoptive mom, and I asked her, I'm like, hey, is this okay? Like, I want to reach out to my bio mom and my bio dad, and I want to have like a real relationship with them. And she gave me her blessing. And so I started like reaching out to them on Facebook and on Instagram. And at first, my bio dad like didn't want to have any relationship with me. Like, I feel like he thought I was trying to get something else out of him with wanting to reconnect. So I messaged him. He's like, no, I don't want anything to do with you. And that was really hard for me. My bio mom was very accepting. She was like, yes, like, ask me any questions. I'd love to see you. And then it took, I believe, like a year for my bio dad to finally like come back around. He was like, hey, I'm so sorry. Like, I just want to apologize. I just like was in a bad headspace. I didn't know what your true intentions were. Like, I want to have a relationship as well. And that was only like last year when we finally decided to like meet up. And so I met them again, like, but this time as an adult and like understanding the importance of it. Maybe like in November, I saw my bio dad. Oh no, it was December. Yep. So it was like really recently. I have yet to go out and see my bio mom, but it's crazy.
It's like it's because I always like same. I knew my mom always told me about like all about them, and my mom always took me around my sisters and made a point to like know who my family was. But like same thing, like I reached out and like I hung out with my biological mom, and like I don't know, like I was just like I have my mom, you know, I don't necessarily need to be out here searching. And like I still talk to her, I still talk to my sisters and stuff, and I don't have any like hit against her because she did carry for me for 9 months and gave birth to me and did the whole thing, you know, and I am very thankful for that. But at a certain point, you know, she's on the streets as well. So like, and that was passed down to me. I'm barely 3 years sober, you know what I mean? So like, I do see what she like, because I tapped into that addiction as well. So like, I do see where her life is like, but like at the same time, I can't, because I have to keep myself sober, and I can't reach out to her and like also keep her sober and then like make this reconnecting connection. So it's like really hard. It's like I absolutely like it's like really hard to like want to reconnect, but at the same time, like when we're in the situation we're in, like we have loving family that really love us. So like it's really hard because I don't want to like hurt my mom's feelings, but at the same time I don't think her feelings will be hurt, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's like a really like tough relationship to try and navigate 100%, because like of course they're your bio family and you want to be for them, but sometimes it's not the best situation either.
Exactly, you know, because my sobriety is the biggest thing in my life right now, is to stay sober and continue this path of like having conversations like this.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, are you very close, like in vicinity of like driving distance of your biological parents, or?
Oh, frick no. No, my mom lives in Edmonton and then my dad lives in Arizona.
Wow, oh,
Yeah.
that's damn, that's a
It's
mission
really
to both
far.
those places.
Yeah. So, I mean, it would be so great to like go visit them, but you know, plane ticket is expensive. So I'm like
Yeah, absolutely, yeah,
waiting to save up. But
yeah.
we talk all the time on like Instagram and on Facebook, but it's like it's not the same, you know? And also like you know, when you're adopted, you have your bio parents and you're like, I know these people, but I also like I don't know them. So it's like you feel really strange about it, right?
100%, yeah, I feel that too. It's like when I'm around them, like I have this crazy connection to these people, but I didn't really grow up with them.
Yeah.
Like I can feel that connection for sure, 100%. But that's it's an interesting like I'm really like when I saw your video, I was like, damn, that's something that we can reconnect about, because like I haven't met very many like natives that have been adopted or like me in my situation, you know. So it's like a really cool like I was stoked to have that conversation with you.
Yeah. I love meeting people that like have similar stories because it makes you feel like, does anybody else like go through this? When I met my bio dad too, like I had no idea that he was also adopted into a white family, and I was like, just like me, like it was so wild.
And like that during like that has probably taken place like a lot within our like community, because like especially back in the day when kids were like, you know, coming out of that school, like the residential school system. So like that probably happened way more than we're thinking about it. Just people who most likely aren't like allowing themselves to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because that's a big thing, especially in like like your area, you know, people were taken into residential schools and just like it was like beaten into them, and then like to say it wasn't a residential school system anymore, it just moved into the adopted, like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so it's like it's really hard.
Yep, it was still happening, even though there weren't residential schools anymore, and like residential schools only closed like what when I was born. That's only like 26 years ago, and then they were still just trying to take indigenous children away from their families. Like it was just a different type of genocide.
Yeah, it's and like ICWA now is like just like taking over. Like that's a big decision that's going on in the court system. You know, is like our culture can't continue if they continue to take our kids from, you know, these our communities. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so it's like it's really tough. Even if the children don't go to necessarily the same like tribe or whatever, as long as they're in the native community, I feel like that's a good situation. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I want to get started on this first question. It's a big, the voice acting that you've been doing, or that you got to do on that opportunity. And also like the skits that you guys be putting out is so funny. I love those. The first one I saw was that 70s, and that one
Yeah.
was so funny. Oh my God. And
I love
at the
it.
time, my housemate just started like putting back on that 70s show. So it was like, oh my God, this is so perfect.
I I love it. Like I grew up being a huge musical theater kid, and then like I kind of lost my way obviously because of the addictions. But then when I met my partner, she showed me that, you know, you can get an agency and start acting. Like you just do it. Like just fill out the form, there you go, get your agent. I was like, this isn't real, like nothing's gonna come about this. But and I signed up with my agency. I'm with Noble Kaplan Abrams, and they just started like getting me auditions and auditions, and I didn't think much of it. I was like, I'm just gonna do it, like we'll see, it'll be fun, this is cool. And I got a couple commercials from it. Kimatoin, like the voice acting that I was in, it was so wild. They asked me to audition for both parts, and then I did it, and right away they're like, we love you, we want you to come into the studio. And I was like, is this actually happening? They like set up a studio time for me. I was in there for an hour, and it was during like still COVID protocol, so I wasn't around anyone. It was just everyone on this like Zoom call, like at least like 8 tiny screens, just all watching me do this like voice acting. And it felt surreal, especially because that was last year when I filmed it. And it wasn't like I forgot about it, but I was like, oh, I wonder when it's gonna come out. And they're like, well, we're still working on it. You know, there's tons that you gotta like go through. And they're working with like Warner Bros. And all this stuff. You have to like get a lot of what's it called? You gotta like get a lot of approvals, and it's like
Yeah.
wait times and stuff like that. And so when it finally came out, like I couldn't believe it. I was like, no way. Like, is this actually happening? Like hearing my own voice and watching the cartoon and it coming together, it was so amazing to see. Like there's a video of me watching it, and I just could not stop smiling. I was like coming home from Arizona or something, and I was just in waiting for my baggage, and I was just laughing so loud in the airport. Like it was so amazing to see. And because of that, like because of getting into the world of like TikTok and indigenous creators, I was able to meet people like, I don't know if you've ever heard of like Kyron Potts or like Scott Wabano. They're like really amazing two-spirit indigenous folk here in Canada. And I was able to like connect with them, and their minds are just like, it's really great to be able to work with other creative minds. Like Kyron is the one who came up with that So Red show and like Master Chef and all that stuff. Like we do silly skits together. He's like, I have an idea. You guys are available. We're all here. Let's do it. And we do it. And it's just like hanging out. Like it doesn't feel like a job to me anymore. It feels like I'm just doing it for fun.
That's so awesome, because that going back to high school, that's one thing I like. I hella like was like, man, I wish I would have tried at least theater or like doing a play or some shit like at least once, because like I was so always so obsessed with like the Jamie Foxx show and shit like that, like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and like stuff like that. Just like every day before school, like all that shit, just like hooked like every single day. And like I was just so afraid of like what like because on the res like if you're in theater that's feminine thing to do, like
Yeah.
so like I was very not motivated, influenced by toxic masculinity.
Yep.
So like I was like, oh, men don't act, but it's like clearly I'm watching men act like on these TV shows that are making me fucking laugh like hilariously. You know what I mean? So like I don't know what, but now I'm just like, dude, whatever, dude. Like I'll put like fucking I'll do it, I'll get on stage and like act, whatever, like I want to try it. I want to try it at least once in my life. Like recently I got the opportunity to be an extra in a movie and that was so much fun. Like sitting
Oh
there
my
just like
God,
all yeah, it's a small movie out in the Bay Area, but like it was still just like so much fun, just like
that's
watching
so
the dude,
awesome.
watching the dude direct and just like stuff like that. It's just like, yo, this is a movie set.
It's like it's really intense. Like everyone romanticizes it, but like there's so much that goes on behind the scenes. Like it's wild. Like I could never be a camera person or a lights person. I have no idea what's going on. I'm like, you just tell me what to do and I'll do it.
Yo, the camera guy had like a whole like back thing, like was like holding the camera and shit. Like it was wild. Like, yo, this is a real deal.
I love like, and again, I just love like being able to collaborate with people and like trying to make a vision come true. Like that's where I kind of struggle with, is being able to see like a vision ahead of me. So I like to just participate and help create somebody else's vision.
Absolutely. And actually, shout out to the homies, the Complex Minorities. He's the one that set this up. He got this going. And that's something that we've been talking about too, is like, man, because I'm going to be moving home because I'm 4 hours from home. And like where I'm at right now, there's not really any native people. And like making that create like making those connections, making like just content and like creating shit, just like even not creating, just like just getting together and like practicing tradition, is like really hard. Like right now I'm like wanting to like practice language, but like here my housemates like they'll like listen to me like say the language and stuff, but they're not going to speak back to me because like it's not, it's a little hard language to like learn, but like when I move back home, like I'm talking to my mom, just saying little random words and shit. But it's like we're picking it up, So is there any like what aspect have you reconnected with, like in any of your reconnection?
Mostly with family. Like I've reconnected with a lot of people that I've like randomly found at events that are from Muskeg Lake that we're all related to and my dad. And yeah, like Kyron Potts again, like he is helping me learn a lot of like Cree language. He's like, I'm just gonna boast about him. He's just so amazing. He speaks so many different languages, and he's just like this huge mentor that I look up to. And so he's helping me learn, and that's how he also introduced me to Two Spirit, was because of Kyron Potts, because he's so like he's just so comfortable in who he is and his two-spiritedness. And he was explaining Two Spirit to me, and I was like, oh my God, like this is a thing. He's like, this is a thing that has always been around. And I was like, that just completely makes, it was like a click in me. I was like, that makes so much like more sense as to who I am and how I feel. And he's just been able to teach me so much. I'm actually trying to get a travel like gig out in Saskatchewan, and I want to like surprise my family and go to Muskeg Lake and like see them all and like just hang out with them. But so far it's just been mostly the community I've really connected to, like just meeting a bunch of Nietzsche's out here in Toronto and Ottawa, because since I've moved here it's been hard. Like the moment I left Calgary was when I was finally finding other Two-Spirit Indigenous people. And then I was like, well, peace, see ya. I'm going to move in with my partner. And I was so sad. I was like, I finally found a connection. And I felt like it never going to happen. But it happened so instantly here in Ottawa and Toronto. And it was just like, they took me in with open arms. And it's just like, I just love being part of the community.
Yeah, and that's where it all starts. You know, once you're integrated into the community, you know, that then that's when you start learning language. That's when you start learning like certain traditions, like dances or like you know, certain things. And like a thing like Two Spirit, that's very new to me because, like I said, on my reservation, masculinity ruled. And like now in my life, I'm like, that shit was taught to us,
Yeah.
like for a reason, for us to like be divided and like, so like, why are we so like homophobic? Why are we so transphobic? So like, I'm trying to like change my whole mindset and then also hopefully change people's mindset on my reservation.
Yeah.
Because that shit was like completely fucking taught to us. Like the homie just said in the homie complex just said, we were just brainwashed to think that like this thing is like we're only male and female. When like there's times where like just like I'm like super emotional and like that's like said to be feminine. You know what I mean? Like it's wild. You know, like we hold emotions to certain fucking people. It's like we're human beings. Like I know certain guys that like they won't ever allow themselves to cry, but it's like that's a human emotion that you're holding back. Like what the fuck?
Well, yeah, like living in Alberta, it was so westernized and colonized, and that's how you grow up to be. Like for a long time, I was trying to like push out my sexuality because I was like, no, that's not a thing. Like this can't happen to me. Like I'm going to like marry a man, have babies, go to school, blah blah blah, do the life. And that's how you're taught to be and taught to go through. And then finally it was after high school when I realized, I was like, why am I like trying to deny like a part of myself that's always there? Like I'm trying to like fit in with everybody, even though like I've never felt like anybody. Like for the longest time, I always felt so different from other people. And it wasn't just because I'm brown and adopted. Like I grew up thinking adoption was normal. Like it was because I was trying to be how everybody else was when that was not me. And so I always felt so like wrong and like weird. And then it wasn't until like when I finally decided to like stop doing that and stop like repulsing who I actually was, I feel so much better. Like a weight has been like lifted from my shoulders and I feel so free, and I love being me. Like that sounds conceited, but I love being me now. Like I didn't like who I was before and I thought I did, but now I'm like, I love me.
No, that's how I feel once I got sober and once I was like, you know what, I'm an alcoholic and I'm a drug addict. And once I actually said that, I was like, I finally started living, like, and actually like started reconnecting with my family again, and reconnecting with stuff, and like, it's just like you said, like I started like finally started just like loving who I was, like, and I started like finding out who I was, finding out things that I like without alcohol, being on a sober mind. So it's like, dude, like I'm pretty cool. Like I like being me.
You're like,
like you know, like
I do me.
yeah, like. Damn, like I know for a second, like I didn't even look at myself in the mirror because like it was like I was just like so like loaded off of drugs and shit all the time. So it's just like I was just like afraid.
Yeah, I hated
So it's like
that. I hated that.
yeah. So it's like it's you know the journey of like being sober is like wow because like you look back and you're like damn I used to think like that. Or I used to let that person influence me in a way like what?
You're like that's fucking whack.
Yeah, dude, like those people weren't that cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like, how does that happen? You know, but like, here we are though. I got a couple. I didn't send over it. Like, I had a homie that suggested we ask a couple rapid questions.
Yeah.
Rapid fire questions. So I'm gonna have a couple rapid fire questions for you. So, I see that you work in a coffee bar, correct? So are you going drip or are you going espresso?
Oh. Espresso all the way. I do like baby lattes.
Okay. You know, I'm not much of a coffee drinker. I got acid reflux and the coffee would destroy me. Like as I get in my older age, like
you're like, I'm gonna stay away from that shit.
Man, I gotta carry Tums 24/7. Shit.
Fuck.
All right. Another one. tattoo or piercing?
Oh my God, you can't do this to me. Like, I love both. I have both equally. But I'm gonna go with tattoo.
All right. Yeah. I think I got a couple. I got my nose and my ears, but nothing more than that. But I would definitely go tattoo. I'm more of a tattoo
Yeah.
person for sure. Last one. Cats or dogs?
What the fuck? You can't do this to me. I love all animals,
I know.
but
I live with both.
fuck. You know what? Okay, I've had some really dope cats in my life. I'm gonna go with cats.
All right. Yeah. I honestly I feel like cats are a little bit easier to take care of. But I do love because I live with both. Like both my housemates have a cat and a dog, so I'm like, I mean, they're not mine, so I don't have like, so they just come and chill with me, so I don't have all the responsibility
Like,
of.
I can
I don't
chill
have
with it without the responsibilities.
Yeah, I don't have to pay the vet bills or anything like that. But all right, we got the next question. What does land back or decolonize mean to you? And everybody has their own little, different explanation of it. So I like to ask just like everybody, what it means to them.
Yeah. So land back to me is basically giving the land back to indigenous stewardeships, because we have been taking care of this land long before colonization has happened. And isn't until colonization happened that we have progressed so fast that we're killing the planet like a lot faster than it should have been. And so they need to stop what the fuck they're doing and let the indigenous people come in to help take care of this land. That's what land back means to me. And decolonizing is essentially what I feel is taking the culture and being able to practice it as much as we can and just like spreading it out. And that doesn't mean like getting rid of like white people and what they want to do, but we need to be able to enrich our cultures because they have been gone for so long. And now it's our time to finally insert ourselves in these white stories. Like it's done. Like I'm done with these white timelines. Like it is time for BIPOC people to fucking shine and to like be like, we're here and like we aren't going anywhere. So let's fucking like smarten up. Fuck.
I mean, that's the biggest like thing. I when I started this podcast, I'm like, fuck, dude. All I watch is white boys and all these podcasts and shit. And then like, it's like you're saying with the story or history, like it's always told from the white side or like the certain side of. But why don't we tell the story ourselves? Why don't we tell the history ourselves from like what it was passed down like from generation to generation to generation?
Yes.
Fuck, man, we got a comment. But yeah, it's crazy because like the history is always told in a certain way, and it's not the way that it's told from our perspective.
No,
it's told from
whitewashed.
Yeah, it's told from a settler colonial setting, and like I'm learning that like California is like it had three waves of colonialism. It had first contact back in when 1492. Obviously this landed on the East Coast, but it took them time to get to the West Coast. But we still had to go through that. And the gold rush, you know what I mean, wiped out so many different indigenous tribes in California. And then like we're dealing with another one that kind of today with the boarding schools and shit. So like. And like you said, it just goes into adoption, so it's like, it's wild to, I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah. And then also there's places in California where tribes are having to buy their land back. And then the people that are selling it are like, oh yeah, we gave land back. But it's like, you sold that shit.
Yeah, you're putting money on it. Like, that's not.
Yeah. And then on top of that, they're like, we sold you this land, but like we're still gonna live on this land for the rest of our lives. So it's like, wow, like you still have to deal with the people that fucking colonized your land and then sold it back to you, and then they're still living on this shit. Like, what the fuck?
Yep.
We got a comment here. That varies depending on the personality. It's about becoming more aware in relationship within and surrounding. Absolutely, yeah. And also, if anybody from in the comments that's watching that has any questions, definitely pop in with any questions or comments for sure. We'll try to get those answered. So yeah, we both talked about being mixed natives. That was the next question I had. But is there any topics that you wanted to bring up that I didn't bring up, or anybody in the watching the live wants to bring up? Definitely bring it up for sure.
I
Do
don't
you have
know.
any? Do you guys have any upcoming? Do you guys have any upcoming videos that you guys are working on?
So we just came out with a Native Jeopardy, and we
I
did
like
that
that one.
with Dio. I don't know if you know, she is an indigenous actress out here, also
Okay.
in Iowa.
Hell
So that
yeah.
was like being able to hang out with the Nietzsches and like fuck around. We also had my partner's friend who played like the stereotypical white person in it. It was so funny. She was literally like ad-libbing some shit. We're like, you are a fire white person right now. Like, this is pride.
We got a comment. We got a question. What clothing brands would you like to collaborate with? Honestly, I'm trying to collaborate with Urban Native.
Urban Native, yeah.
I'm out I'm out here sporting all the colors. I got everything. So like tap
Me
in with me.
too. I've actually worked with so many cool people. Like, my first photo shoot, I think, was with Leslie Hampton.
Okay.
And she was like, yo, do a photo shoot for my new collection. And I was like, okay, like, you don't gotta ask me twice. And then I'm wearing Anine. They're from Toronto, and they like streetwear and stuff. And I modeled for them a couple times, and they'll send me like some like free swag, and I'm like, yes, of course I'm gonna wear shit all the time. Like, this is literally my favorite hat. I wear this every second day.
I gotta get you a Burn the Wagon shirt then.
Yes, word man. I'll fucking rep that.
I'll send me where to send it, and I'll send it to you for sure.
Hey, word, bet.
And then we got to get you some complex minorities gear too. So he got some dope gear
Yes!
coming.
Give me all the sway.
Yeah, we'll get you hooked up. We'll get you sported out, some Cali gear out there.
Fuck yeah, man.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I thank you so much for joining me today. This is an amazing conversation. Unless anybody has any questions or comments they want to bring up, have any topics they want to talk about, but I think that was an amazing conversation. Thank you so much for all the content you create. Like I said, man, there's a lot of people out there that connect, and like I was watching your stuff, and I was like, man, I connect with this one. That video about being adopted, I was like, this is going to be a conversation in itself. And that's a journey, it's a journey to be lived through adopt, because you live in two worlds. Like, you're adopted, but at the same time in your DNA lives your ancestry of your indigenous side. Oh, we didn't even talk about like the Filipino side.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Like, do you have any connections with that at all?
Yeah, well, like, I've been talking a lot to my bio mom. She's like teaching me some words here and there, and she's like trying to teach me some recipes. And what is it? My okay, every time me and my mom pass by a Filipino food store, she's like, we're going in right now. Like, we're gonna try all the food. And everything I eat is just like, first of all, I love rice. And it sucks because my adoptive mom is like allergic to rice. So every time we would eat rice, she would like have the worst reaction to it. And I'm like, okay, so no rice ever. But I just like, I honestly, I like cannot live without it. If my girlfriend's like, are we making a meal? I'm like, yeah, I'm making fucking fried rice. Like, what do you think? It's just like, I'm so in love with the food. And then I met up, like, I recently had a drag king makeover, and the drag king artist who made me over was a Filipino being. And I was like, no fucking way. And they were telling me too about how, like, in Filipino culture, like way back then, there was also like a version of two-spirit, the same as indigenous culture here, where like these people weren't necessarily fitting in the gender binaries, and like they were really like highly respected in communities. They were like healers, they were medicine people. And it's just like, I love hearing these stories of the Filipino culture and my Cree culture, because there's so many similarities, and it makes me like, it makes my heart soar, like realizing that they came together and now I get to experience the cultures.
That's so awesome. Christianity really fucked people up around the world.
Yeah. Yeah, it did. I
Like,
actually, my adopted mom was Christian,
my
so
mom, my mom to this day is a full-blooded
I
Native American. Oklahoma woman who fucking practices Christianity.
Right, and then
Don't get,
you're at the dinner table and they're sitting there like praying to God, and you're like,
in, in my head, I have my own like little prayer that I do in my language. So like I'm not, and which is weird because like she creates baskets. She like speaks. She'll teach me word like language, and like she'll talk about like back in the day on the res and shit. And like the only thing she won't do is like practice traditional dances and like songs and shit like that. It's like so weird because it's like considered witchcraft.
It's isn't it so wild, like how people can get brainwashed because of fucking colonization like that? Like I have a friend who their grandparents, same shit, like they lived on the res, they're full indigenous man, but he like believes indigenous medicine is like witchcraft, and he is almost doesn't like indigenous people, and it's like, but you are indigenous. They're like, whoa, what? Like,
It's hella weird, dude. Like I don't even know how to like. It's a. I don't know
it's
how to
like
talk to my mom about it.
fucking sad, man. Like,
Dude, like my mom is like fucking scared to like literally afraid to like do anything outside of her like religion because she, like God will like send her to hell. It's
no,
like sad.
oh no.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like and like I did grow up like Christian, so like there is stuff that I did take from it, but like there's so much that is just like underneath what they're not
Yep,
talking about, you
yep.
know. So it's like, but like they say like, oh, like people practice when they practice like native like culture or spirituality, they do drugs and they do these bad things. But it's not, yo, like how many stories do we hear from the churches that are like of molestation of all
Mhm,
these things? You know what I mean? Like
mhm.
no matter what like what spirituality or religion it is, we're gonna find bad people in it. We're gonna find bad people in our lives. So like
Yeah.
as long as that's the only thing that you're looking at, like then you're always gonna see bad
Yep,
things.
exactly.
But yeah, that's my little spiel on Christianity. Like I don't hate it. I don't hate it, but I'm not subscribing to it.
Yeah, yeah, I feel that.
Setback, land back. What do you think? Because lost indigenous communities are being dehumanized by these institutions should be considered the impact. So participating in the, like participating in being like actors or like is that what they're trying to say? I think.
Maybe. I'm not like I feel what they're trying to say, but honestly, like as an indigenous actor, most of the roles that I ever get are indigenous people, and they only want people that are actually connected to community. And I also work with a lot of like indigenous directors, like with short films, like the what is it, the cartoon that I did, it was directed by indigenous sisters. And so which was so great to like hear about, and like their film went to like Imaginative and stuff, which is, I don't know if you've ever heard of Imaginative, but they're like one of the biggest like indigenous film festivals. And so they really like help out and try to like give grants and like try to like push indigenous media into like the main whatever, like, which I think is so cool. So I'm always like really particular in like who I work with and like what I do. Like, nope, I can't say it. That's another story for later.
No, yeah, because like there's definitely people in the industry that are looking to capitalize off of our stories.
Yep.
So I think that would set back like land back and stuff like that because they're just looking to capitalize on a story
Yeah.
and on a certain period of time.
Yep.
And that like and obviously there is people in our own communities that are trying to capitalize on this too, and just like all they're thinking about is the money and not actually land back and not actually taking care of the earth. But yeah, I think as long, like you said, as long as you're working with the right people and you're very selective of who you're working with, I think that should be fine, you know.
Yeah.
And
Like
yeah,
be intentions, and like that they are educated in that matter and they want to share a story. Like, luckily I've never been what is it, approached by someone that wants to like take my story and like exploit it as like a white person. And when that day comes, like I'm gonna have a nice sitting down and talking to them, because like yeah, that's fucked up. But luckily that hasn't happened to me yet.
Good. That I'm glad, because like that shit. You hear so many stories about that happening, you know, and I think recently we're seeing a lot of native creators creating content and it's actually being seen,
Hmm.
you know, which is amazing, because like participating in this social media game is like really, really hard, because you don't want to push too hard, but you don't want to like you don't want to not create content and not put content out there. So it's like I don't want to be one of these annoying people that's always like pushing out content and pushing out myself, because this podcast is much bigger than myself, you know.
Yeah.
And like it's really hard, because I do want to push out content, but I don't want to be like constant with it.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. Like, and there is like this person talked about like pan-indigenous creators, and I've seen those, and those are like really harmful. But most of the time you can kind of like weed out and like pick out the ones that are being really pan-indigenous, or that are just like sharing information without actually like the education for themselves, or like without like good intentions. Like, I don't know, it sounds kind of superficial for me to say it, but like you can feel like the energy. You can look at them and like their content, and you're like, oh yeah, that person's like not doing this for the reasons that they think they're doing it for.
No, 100%. And that's the thing that I have to kind of like navigate when I bring people on to interview. You know, I look through people's Instagram and have to be like, all right, is this person connected to the community outside of Instagram? You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? Like you're saying, like these people have to be connected. You have to feel that.
Yep. Or
Uh,
are they just like looking up Google and then like spewing facts on Instagram or something? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Or like they just watched a couple of videos of the same tribe, so they're taking those songs. When in
Yeah.
reality, you have to ask permission to sing these certain songs. You know, so like yeah, you like energy is a big thing. Like you know, before all this, I would say, oh, that's some white hippie shit. But now I'm like, actually, like, fuck, dude, that shit's true. Like energies are like, you can really feel that shit. Like you
I mean,
know, but like, and that's the thing. Like you think about like on my res, like if you're going on something, say like a hike, oh, that's some white people shit. You, if you think about it, like we hiked, we hunted, we did all these things before colonization, but like colonization has taught you to think that you're supposed to just sit on the res and fucking drink and just chill. Like, yo, we did all this shit.
or like we did all this shit before they took it over, and now we calling it white people shit. Like,
That's literally a saying on my like where I'm from. Like, oh, that's some white people shit. But like, yo, like we did all this shit.
oh fuck.
Heavily complex and nuanced. Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to have a conversation with you if you're willing. But yeah, I'll tap in with this person after, because they're leaving some really good comments. I definitely want to have a conversation with them.
Yeah.
But thank you. I really appreciate you coming on today and speaking your truth and telling your story and just being you know, just being a two-spirited person in this world that's fucking nuts, you know. But I love it. I love I love natives putting themselves in spaces that they don't want us in, and that's what you guys are doing with these videos. Is like you're taking over. You're showing who we are. Because like for like we like to talk about our trauma a lot, but we some funny fucking people.
Hell yeah. That's how we do with it. Just fucking humor.
So yeah, our comedy is coming. Like people, I don't know if people are ready, but you better be ready for it, because we're fucking funny and we're coming.
Hell yeah. Thank you so much again. I had such a blast talking with you, man.
Yeah, it was really good. I really appreciate your conversation. I definitely want to do this again on episode 2. We'll definitely have a much more conversation to have. But I really appreciate you coming on. It was dope. Definitely want to tap in with some of those people that you're making videos with, and have them on too as well. So
Hell
definitely
yeah.
looking forward to these next videos that you guys are going to be putting out, man. I'm fucking stoked.
Word. Yeah, man. Maybe one day you can be a part of it. Fuck.
Hey, I want to. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. My dream is to travel to people and interview them in person. So that's definitely something that's going to happen one day.
Oh yeah, dope, dope.
All right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, not a problem, man. Have a good night, yo.
You too.
Peace.
Later. All right. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate everybody in the comments watching, whether it's watching now on live or later. Definitely tap in if you want to join me on one of these conversations, because I definitely want to get as many conversations out there and as many of our stories out there. So yeah, thank you guys. Much love to you, and thank you for watching. And remember these three things: always take care of your elders, take care of the earth, and the generations to come after us. Peace and love.